Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Edgerunners HQ and our Cyberpunk RED talk show, Night City Sofa. I am Jesper, here with Games End. Hello, buddy.
Oh, hi.
During tonight's episode of Night City Sofa, we are continuing our look at Night City 2045, and as we take a look at the island, we are pleased to have writer and Jolly join us tonight to talk about their experiences and answer a bunch of questions. So welcome, Jolly.
Hey there, Jess. Nice to be here.
It's so great to have you.
This camera angle doesn't even show, like, I'm wearing my samurai shirt today.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that is nice. So apart from Night City 2045, folks may recognize your name from such Cyberpunk RED DLCs as Breaking Your Stuff and Did Someone Say Murder? Hashtag Justice for Barry in the chat, guys, always.
Right.
For those who don't know who you are and your awesome writings, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
So yeah, I started doing Pathfinder 1 first edition guides. Like, if you search the name Anjali, I am the most popular result, unless that stupid actor finally overtook me again. It has been a constant war. But, I did a bunch of stuff for them. I am an Emmy-nominated writer for Spheres of Power. I've been in a panel with Ed Greenwood, which was a lot of fun.
I'm sure it was.
And,
it sounds like it would have been interesting.
it was, but God, I always felt bad for talking when he was on a panel because, like, you want to hear Ed Greenwood. I'm just there. Like, again, I don't get down on myself. It's just like, there's levels for this.
I get it.
But yeah, you might have seen, like, I've done, like, a lot of homebrew, too, for Cyberpunk. Look up Piece of the Red, and if you're looking for me online, just go over to the Artel Discord. Don't look for me anywhere else.
Right. The only place you'll find me.
And before we get into the meat of our show this evening, quick note for everybody in chat. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. We'll answer them at some point, either at the end or during the show, wherever it makes sense. Yeah. So I figured we would start with the Reclamation. No, I didn't. Nope. That's... I can read my notes, it's fine. You wrote the Reclamation Zone and Old Japantown. Alright, I suppose co-wrote Old Japantown?
Mm-hmm.
So what was your experience with Cyberpunk, and when did you get involved in the Cyberpunk game system?
So, I will say one quick clarification. I wrote the Old Japantown along with Kosetsu Tantena. I always get his name wrong. Tanteno. We shared responsibility on that, so
Yes.
there are some things that I did not do there, just for full disclosure. But as far as my history with Cyberpunk, like, I will admit, like, I didn't even play the video game until I started playing until I got onto NC45. Like, very legitimately. Like, my experience with Cyberpunk is Cyberpunk RED.
So you didn't play 2020 or whatever came
13
before?
I did not get the chance to play 2020 because, like, my RPG experience began in 96, 97?
Okay.
And by then, like, we were already into the D&D 3.5 wave, and that was the only game in town. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, for those of you who played back then, you understand the push that, like, Wizards gave that, so there was no other game in town.
Right. Me and my friends had to, like, search out the weird Star Wars games and stuff like that in, like, hobby shops, because all you can find in regular stores was the 3.5 stuff.
Dear Lord, yeah. Like, I've gone back and I've read, like, a ton of 2020 stuff since.
Yeah.
But like I mainly got into 2045 because Jay Gray, like somebody who I'd written some stuff with for Pathfinder, was doing stuff with them. I was like, you know what? I'm looking for a change. I will come over here and check this out. And I just became enamored with it.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's fantastic. It's nice to know I'm not the only one who started in Cyberpunk RED, like at RED's edition. Everyone I know is always like 2020 or earlier, and I'm like, I just started with RED. Not the only one.
I'd like to meet somebody who was like, the card game they released in the early 2000s, that's my entry point.
And now, Joel, you're a game master as well as a player, correct?
That is correct. Currently running one game, probably going to be running two soon.
That's awesome. How does your experience at the table influence your writing, if it does at all?
So honestly, like I think like the way I put it to myself is like I'm very good at taking things that I experience through like media and such and translating them into mechanics. Like that's probably what I think is like my strongest suit. And like I've gotten a lot of inspiration from like my players on stuff to include like, so there is one location in the Reclamation Zone which was entirely based on a game that I ran.
Nice.
It is the flashback. It is the home of Turbo Overdrive, the most 80s man alive. He was a huge part of one of my games, and I was writing NC-45 while it was going on, and my players were like, you have to include this in the book, man. Like, we can't force you, but we'll try. And I had,
but you should.
I had a location that, like, it was a little, I don't want to say flavorless, but a little directionless. I was like, you know what? This place right here, this could be like your 80s diner. This could be like the place where he lives. And so that is how we got the location of the flashback.
That's so cool.
That fits so well.
So yeah, if you're ever in the Reclamation Zone and you need some food that's 100% going to be bad for you, get over to the flashback. Like, I always thought the main allure of the place was like, it has food so good that like people from the Glen will come by. So it's a nice place to gather secrets.
Yeah. In addition to eating delicious food that's really bad for you.
Right.
Horrible for you, yeah.
Games, I think you had a question?
Oh, I wanted to ask, like, how much freedom were you given to create in the world? Like, were you given much oversight of, like, hey, these are things we'd like to see you include? Or was it just kind of like, go crazy and we'll pull the reins if we have to?
So this actually kind of goes into the whole Reclamation Zone because there's no information on the Reclamation Zone before NC-45. And I also mean in 2020, so this was an entire black box for me. And I think I had to like pitch 3 different ideas to Jay until we finally got to the one that worked for him. And eventually I was just like, man, it's gonna be like the Cowboy Zone. It's gonna be like it's based around like the Dorado family, which was again some player like that was like a player character of mine. And once I pitched like the district leader Santos Dorado, he was like, yes, that's the direction. Like, just keep going forward with this guy and his stuff, and you're on the right path. And I was like, oh my god, thank you so much.
That's amazing that you said that. I was gonna ask you if there was like a period of time that you were thinking of when you wrote it, because it reminds me of the spirit of the American West, of the like pull yourself up by the bootstraps, you know, make something out of nothing. Like, I very much get that feel from the writing and the setting, and so I was gonna ask, and so when you were like, yeah, the Cowboy Zone, I was like, oh my god.
Oh, it was 100% that. Like, I can send you like each zone I did, I had like a theme song that I listened to the entire time that I wrote it. And Reclamation Zone is Ghost Town Triumph.
Okay. Nice.
And Old
Yes.
Japantown, when you were co-writing that.
I'm gonna have to look up the name of it, but for wrestling fans, it's Shinsuke Nakamura's theme song.
That's incredible.
Okay. I think I know the song.
But for Old Japantown, there was a lot more like established stuff, and we weren't even told like you have to like include this much stuff in 2020. Like there was no like hard limit of like this much nostalgia. It was basically just if you see something cool and you'd like to bring it forward. Our only rule is like you cannot include a mall. No malls whatsoever.
Fair
Malls
enough.
are a sign of a thriving society.
Yeah.
So you can like I think we got one thing that's close to a mall in the entire book.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, because I get a lot of personality out of the writing, a lot of like it felt like you were given a lot of creative freedom, and so that's good to hear that more or less you were told like after you agreed on the direction you were going, you were allowed to do your thing. So I think it really shines through.
Oh yeah, Jay gave us a lot of freedom on like our media voice. He had a list of like some that we should use, and I think we used like a previously existing one for Old Japantown because it kind of felt unfair to like push one person's over another for like the joint areas, at least to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, would you like to just share this like very suit and tie, depressed old businessman sort of J.E. Monroe? As opposed to what I think is like a lot spunkier of like the Reclamation Zone's Delilah Vasquez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why you'll see like some older like media names that you've seen in like other Scream sheets. Because some of the times we wanted to like give those people a shine, and then some of the times it was just like you kind of need like I think Rob's voice for like his areas was like perfect for it and wouldn't have worked with like a previously existing media.
That makes sense.
Now before I get into the Reclamation Zone specifically, you're also credited with writing factions. And is that because of the factions that exist in the zones that you wrote, or did you write out like certain factions outside of that as well?
So let me go over to Night City factions. I believe this is almost entirely because most of these were like already pre-written, like they existed beforehand. And what I am credited for in here is you'll go over to security providers, and I am responsible for Los Perros Guardians,
Okay.
or as I affectionately call them, the Wolf Cops.
The Wolf Cops. Oh my god, I love that.
And like that came out of the idea of like with this frontier area and like with these trains. And I think Corgo from the Discord like boxed me on this one. He said like, did you pick this because like train conductors and people like that are typically very lonely due to travel, so they have pets? And I was like, I didn't do that particularly. I did that because I came to that conclusion on my own. Because like I thought, oh, these traveling people would want to have like someone that they could bring with them, and also in an area that's struggling for like workload. Having trained dogs helping on security would require less manpower.
Yeah.
And so like in my head, I just like I think to myself like, man, like the Reclamation Zone is what I like to call one of the nicer places in Night City. Like if you read through it, like
Yeah, actually it is.
Yeah.
like there's a lot of these places that are like very night edge. Like even Old Japantown is like a lot sharper of a district. But like the rec zone is like the kind of place that I think people could have like small town adventures in Night City. And so like I thought like what would
Yes.
their cops be like? And I thought, oh, they're the cops that come with dogs. Like, how are you gonna be mad about that?
Right. Well, and that was something that I really liked in the writing about it. That, like, whereas it's very common in Night City for it to be the ultra rich and the ultra poor, like the rec zone is kind of the working man area, and like it's cool to see that juxtaposition, you know, in the newly forged area. So.
But yeah, I would say locals would absolutely call them the Wolf Wolf cops if you just want to throw that into your game.
It certainly feels like a community, even though it spans an entire district, than I think anywhere else in Night City for me.
Well, and comparing the two, Old Japantown and Reclamation, like they're in sharp contrast to each other. Yeah.
Very much so.
Oh yeah, no, getting to work on like those two, like specifically, I thought was just like a lot of fun for those differences.
The juxtaposition is fantastic. We will get into that, but I actually have a question from chat. From Lord Jesus Crust, wants to know: were you let in on the security/utility code mechanics? And if yes, were you allowed to pick those, or did the Artel guys implement that all after your writing was done?
Oh, that was done without us. Like the bulk of our writing was specifically like the areas. Like we had like very focused on that. Like we had our word count, and let me tell you, I would have not wanted to spend it on that sort of stuff.
That's fair. I don't know if I would have counted like security code 7 as part of the word count, but I get it. That makes a lot of sense.
I think like
I would have
Jay
been
was
worried
taking,
about
like,
it as a writer, but sorry.
like Jay took like what we did, and then he like tailored the codes around that.
Alright. So when you got a final look at it, how much, was it a shock to see all the different codes? Did you look into it and go, that makes sense, the tracks?
Yeah, I basically was like, okay, yeah, no, like we trust Jay, like, and that worked out beautifully, honestly. Like, the dude is a magician when it comes to this sort of stuff. Like, I still remember at one point I was thinking like of suggesting to Jay, hey, like all the writers should have street names for themselves, and then we get like a map back, and it already has that. Yeah, no, good hands.
Yeah, always.
Though I will say we were complaining about something Jay does the other day. We were talking about how his layout is so good that there isn't as many useless ads and things anymore, which makes us sad because we love having that art in there.
And the filler quotes.
You're not the only person who I've seen complain about that. And like I get it, but holy god, this book was fat.
Oh yeah.
It was like 320 pages.
312.
When we got it and we were looking at it to do our reviews, we were like, because usually we do most things in 1 or maybe 2 episodes. We were like, this is going to be a lot of episodes.
Well, even like Tales of the Reds, we've done in 3, and I was like, we need more than 3. 3 is not going to cover this book.
I believe it is the second longest book outside of Core.
I fully believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't bet against
And
that.
it's so full of good stuff, too. It's not like there's nothing in there that you're like, I don't know why they included that. Like, just, there's good meat on the bone.
Okay. I think we can get into Reclamation Zone. Or my question specifically regarding the Reclamation Zone. So where did you, when you started, you said you pitched Jake a few ideas, and it all kind of blossomed after the Dorado became kind of like the I guess the starting point, we'll say. Where did you go from there? How did you build the district from Santos Dorado?
So I would say like it started with Jay saying, okay, so the end cart is gonna be in your district, like, and that was like the first guiding principle I had, and then from there came the Dorado family, and then from there came honestly, and I look at it like this, I look at a lot of things from the Reclamation Zone as things you would find in a small town. Things that would make you feel like homey. And that was like, if you could think about it happening in like a small town, that's like, aside from the Foundry Tech School, which was something else, like I wanted to have like one thing that was like, oh, this is the stark contrast here. Like everything else, like you look at like McGee Speedway, Metal Mountain. Like these are things that are like nostalgic to people conceptually.
For sure.
And like that was kind of like where I wanted to put it of like, this is a place where like you could have like a legitimate home in, as opposed to like you go to some of these districts and living in them sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Old Japantown, I would hate to live there.
Yeah.
I finished reading Reclamation Zone. I was like, man, my character, my PC, if she could have chosen a district, it would have been this one. 100%, hands down.
Like, it's smaller scale problems, but like, there's still like the very real fear of it being absorbed back into South Night City. And there's still the very real issue of Santos Dorado is almost certainly not going to make it to his next term.
That tracks.
So like, as far as like a meta plot, those were like my two big ones, along with like I say the Foundry Tech School was something that like is a little outside of this, because it's a nicer place, but it's also very much like, if you had this problem, you would very legitimately need to train more people to do it.
Yeah.
But like when Jay told me, like, and I read about in like the previous 2020 stuff, like the nomads are very big on education. I think that's the only reason why there's two places that you can learn in this district, and I don't think that's true anywhere else.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's fairly uncommon.
It's so uncommon. I had that as one of my questions. Actually, is that there's two education places in this district.
Yeah, I got like told specifically like they value education, and so Freddie Douglass being in a bomb shelter was something that like a friend of mine had in their school, like growing up. Because a lot of like, there's at least one school even in my area that's like, oh yeah, no, this is a bomb shelter. Like, if something bad happens, you come here.
Yeah, we have two, weirdly.
The university
small
I
town
went
I live
to, the university I went to had a bomb shelter, and like the newer buildings, you can tell which ones are new and which was the bomb shelter, because it's still.
I remember asking in an AMA about more Western style content. So I'm very grateful for this, because I had run a game in White City and I had placed it like up around like Utah, Colorado area. And so seeing more, Western style content's really interesting. So yeah, just wanted to say thank you for that.
I had a lot of fun with that. And like there's a ton of like my IRL friends here as NPCs. Like Gordon's Garage is based around like my best friend who I've had for the longest time. Which let me tell you, when I got to see his name in that DLC, I almost jumped out of my chair.
That was another question I had, was were you aware that Troy Gordon was going to be in a DLC?
Nope, completely out of nowhere. I sent him like the picture of it later that day.
It's incredible.
Like he knew about Gordon Garage. Like I, for the longest time, wanted to have him in there. Just like Earl's secondhand shop was based off of my buddy from the hotel, who was originally named Earl Silvertongue, but that got changed. Like when I found out about it, I was like, yeah, no, that tracks. That's why he's Earl Mahone now.
You mentioned earlier that Sinisterato's next term, not seeing his next term, was kind of one of the meta plots that you added into the district. What was it like, kind of putting in, like, or what was your thought process, I guess, putting in locations that you knew players would or could visit to tell their story, but also leave enough information that it could be a potential plot hook somewhere?
So for like the Reclamation Zone as a whole, the idea here is that the stories that you're telling are a lot more personal. Like when you look at some of the other districts, and this is not a shot at them, they're like there's like these hooks in them that are like, oh, there's these very legitimately evil people who are doing these very evil things that you have to deal with. Where when you look at like the Booster Bistro, like the jobs there are like helping down and out like former gangers get back on their feet. Like that's a place where like you can tell a story of like small scale redemption for like an RCL ganger who he's getting his tattoos removed and he needs like a bodyguard to like help protect him so that like others of his crew don't like come and try to bring him back. The flashback is a place where like you can find out about like rumors and things from like higher level corpos. Hell, Earl's secondhand shop, that was actually based around an IRL location from my area where there was this rumor that like you could take loans out, but if you had to and you didn't pay him back, he'd make you do porn in the back. And like, hey, maybe you're just saving somebody from like having their porn debut.
Right.
Yeah. I hadn't
like
considered that when I
everything-
read that. That's incredible. That's a great plot line.
But like even like Metal Mountain is just like maybe somebody threw something away that like the crew's gonna have to like salvage through.
Go.
These are like smaller scale stories to get into. And honestly some good like beginner level stories. So like when I know like a lot of people love doing their big like, oh, you found the Arasaka conspiracy. But sometimes you just need like that small interpersonal story of like Phoebe Dorado needed you to find some ammo because like a group of Generation Red kids have been like walking around and stealing it. And I think there's like places for stories like that in games that I genuinely think those are the stories that stick with players the most.
Oh, for sure.
I agree.
Well, and I feel like this is one of maybe 2 or 3 locations that you could have characters that are more seasoned go to do like the beach episode, the low impact, like there aren't high stakes, we can kind of relax, but there's still a story going on. I feel like you could do that here pretty well. So
Like we all wrote districts together, but at the same time they were separate, and we wanted to make sure like every different kind of story could be told. And so the Rec Zone is where like your low stakes beach episode is. It's where like it's a place where people's characters' parents could live.
Yeah.
Which I think is like very important to be like if somebody's parents are living in again somewhere like Old Japantown or the Combat Zone, that tells like a very different story than like if some parents who just decide like they want like a nicer place that's still in the city where they can pull their weight and where they can have like smaller scale problems.
Yeah.
There was so much, and I'm jumping through my questions.
I feel really bad. This is behind baseball, but Jess wrote out all the questions she wanted to ask, and we've vaguely touched on a lot of them.
Yep.
To where there are bullet holes in her.
There are, yeah, and I'm like, okay, we talked about this, skipping things through. Okay, we answered about education. You know what? You mentioned Metal Mountain, so that's where I'm going to go. Would you say Metal Mountain can serve as a scavenging night, for the DLC Scavenging Night City, as a location there? But would you change any of the DVs or the rules or what you could find? Would you make it there's no you're never gonna find super luxury item in Metal Mountain, but or would you just leave it as is and be like, yes, this is a scavenging place. Go scavenge. Good luck. Don't get tetanus. You'll get tetanus.
Yeah, I would. So, Metal Mountain was originally, I think, just called the Scrapyard until I thought to myself, God, nobody's gonna remember that name. That's fading into the background. And Metal Mountain was actually the name of. I have a document where I keep a homebrew that I have not released, and it is called Metal Mountain. And I was like, oh, that's the perfect name for this place, because that's my place I throw things. And the owner of Metal Mountain is my first fleshed out Cyberpunk character, Mason Dorado. So if you do anything mean to him, I don't want to hear about it.
You'll know.
Don't go to the Artel Discord and tell Jolly. You will get banned.
I'll ban you for less than that. But no, Metal Mountain was I like it as both an in-game location of it's just this huge, intimidating pile of scrap that it's an eyesore. When people see it in the distance, GM should describe it as just a failure of management, because that's what it is. Because the guy who's there, he doesn't want to run it. He wants to be a businessman and do art stuff in a different district.
Nope.
So yeah, you can find super luxury in it because he's never gonna check.
Lovely.
May I ask one of your other questions?
Yeah, please.
Because I need to know the answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with the Speedway.
I was just about to ask that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Jess's question basically was asking that, with stickball, people who are not stickball players can settle grudges that way. Is the Speedway open for people to challenge each other to, settle, Fast and the Furious Desert Wars style solving things through racing? Is that a possibility?
Oh, 100%. I don't know if either of you grew up in a small town, but there was always that area in those small towns where stuff goes down, and that's what McGee Speedway was meant to be. It's two drunk guys getting into a fight, and they're like, "I'll see you at McGee." Use that for racing, stickball, anything like that. It's behind the playground, effectively, to me. And it's a place where people will go and watch just to make sure that two drunk idiots don't kill themselves, either doing drunk driving or in fist fights or anything like that. But just for small towners like me, it was very much that location of this is where things are settled non-lethally, and then you go over to the flashback and you have a drink and you just be squashed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was my thought. I was like, the next time my character gets in a fight, it's gonna be let's go down to McGee's, settle this for vehicles.
Fastest quarter mile.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
As for Reclamation Zone Station, the day market, How did you decide on which like types of stalls would be there? How many would you include? Is there? I assume there's room if GM ever wanted to add like one or two. But how did you make that choice of like how many and which ones?
So I cannot take credit for that. That was added after my stuff. Like Jay did a great job throwing in what, like it's effectively just a fun little like day market strip mall sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I cannot speak to that. Like I'm never gonna take stuff I did not do. And like
Fair
if you
enough.
talk to other people, like Jay slips in some stuff to like flesh out the areas because he's got like he can see all the pieces on the board. He knows what's needed, and that's what he decided was needed there. And I agree.
Yeah.
It's a good addition.
I was just, and with you talking about how anything in small towns, that's what those shops very much feel like to me. Is like you find a cosmetics and a artificial flower for bouquets and handmade jewelry. Like it's very much in theme with what you wrote, which I'm not surprised. Oh, Jay said that, and you should recognize it. It's a knockoff of Shibuya Station from P5. I believe that's Persona 5.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I can see that now.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah.
And with that Easter egg, Jolly, is there any other dark secrets or Easter egg? This was Games' question. I should have let him ask it, but the segue was too good.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you have any like hidden Easter eggs that you put into the section that you're super proud of.
So the flashback owner Turbo Overdrive is a very clear pastiche of the tag team the Outrunners from AEW. Like if you look
Nice.
them up, they are again just 80s nostalgia, and Turbo Overdrive came into existence because I made up a character on the spot that the party loved, and he became a central character of the game. And the party loved him so much they're like, he has to be in the game. And like there's little wrestling references like all over the place. Like for Torn Sanoa, the last name Sanoa is the real last name of Samoa Joe.
That's awesome.
There is at least one owner of a shop in Old Japantown that is based off of a different AEW wrestler, Mina Shirakawa. And Freddie Douglas School, I was actually really proud of this one. Freddie Douglas being a famous nomad from the 2020 era. Because when I was thinking about what to name it, I had to like look it up because I didn't just want it to be like School District PO15.
Yeah. That's really cool.
That's a cool pull. Yeah. Nice.
And then a lot of the personalities were just players and IRL friends of mine. Like Santos Dorado is based on my grandpa.
Fair enough.
Sweet. Don't do anything to that character either, guys.
Yeah.
Only nice things.
Be
And
nice.
fun fact, there are 2 locations from my districts that were lifted from my homebrew.
Oh, which ones were those?
Booster Bistro and Lovely Drone Heroes Cafe.
I love Lovely Drone Heroes.
Such a miserable place. I love it.
I've been to so many of those things though that like I guess that feels really weird to say, but you go to like the themed restaurant or the maid cafe or whatever, and you're like, I am paying way too much for this omelet on top of rice. It is not delicious, but it's for the experience. And
Before I forget, speaking of Booster Bistro, Axel 8 is written there as the owner. Doesn't have a role and rank. Was that intentional?
Okay, so if Jay's in chat, he knows this too. I Axel 8 originally had a slightly different name, which was Axel R the 8th, and that was my little pun name. And I said, "Oh, he should be a fixer," and Jay just said, "Jolly, there are too many fixers in this book. We cannot have another. Please, my children are dying." I was like, you know what, fair man. This is your baby. I can't like force another fixer into the womb. So we just left him like that, and then for the name, he said the pun has to die. And like with how many puns this book already has,
Right.
like I still laugh every time I read Dewey, Cheatham, and How. Like,
Yes.
it's such a 1920s joke. I love it so much.
And that's why it's
Like those are like two things that like I talked to him about, and he just said we kind of have to do it this way, and I was like, you know what, fair man. Like I did not have like a lot of like things to like say to him afterwards. Like once, like we were asked for like final edits, but no, Axel 8 is he is the most New York. He's not exactly scummy, but he is very opportunistic. And like he's just the kind of guy who he's trying to help people out, but if he can make money while doing it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, because Jess pointed out that, like, you know, because most people have their role and rank afterwards, that Axel didn't have it, and I was like, and Axel's not in like the personas list, and I don't know.
He's just an everyday people.
I'd like to say he has one of every rank.
There we go.
Oh yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Putting every
Just be
role
too
in
many
rank would
words.
be too much. Yeah.
Yeah. He has 8
have
roles
word
in
counts.
rank.
Did you have any influence or writing for the stat blocks?
That I did not. So Jay got those done. Very much appreciate like having the new death save in there. And I think like everything in there is honestly what it needs to be. I'm glad that we have another dog stat block.
Yes.
For sure.
Like if anything else, I am genuinely happy that like Gustav can have friends now.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to, because I'm just checking the time, I'm going to ask a question that was asked on the YouTube channel by Glunius. Do you, Jolly, personally think Adrian Cassell will be successful in forming, I guess this is for Old Japantown, successful in forming a spin-off from the Tiger Claws loyal to her? And if she does, what do you think that organization would be called? To be clear, they're not asking if Artel has any plans for the plot thread in the future, just what we know currently. What's your opinion or theory?
Your feelings.
Yes.
Okay, so before I answer this, let me give like a slight tangent on Adrian Cassell, because she is based off of my best online friend, like huge cosplayer, love her to death. And second, I did not realize the last name Cassell was used in Cyberpunk 2077 before I wrote that name. Because as I told you, I started playing the game afterwards.
You wrote it, yeah.
And then I found out, oh, there's these really important characters who also have the last name Cassell. Damn it. So
No,
like
they're not related.
Yeah, that's it. So I talked with Jay about that. I said, Jay, I'm sorry I didn't realize this. Should we change the last name? He's like, no, let people wonder.
Fair enough.
So it is entirely possible. But no, I would, because she's based off of my good friend, yes, say she would be successful. And as far as what would spin out of that, like, Adrian was originally, like, she had a bit more of a flair for cosplay. So I assume, like, any faction she would make would probably end up going with the G3 at some point and trying to make what I would call a super group out of that.
That is terrifying.
Like in the same way that like Fixer sponsors the Iron Sights, I assume like her group would join with the G3 with that kind of situation.
But yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, but also terrifying.
And there would be, Sanrio products made for it.
Mm.
Okay, we haven't talked a lot about Old Japantown. And you co-wrote it. I'm going to butcher their name, so I'm not going to say it. But how did that divide? Thank you. How did that divide come about? Like, did you guys?
So at some point during the process, Jay said, "Okay, we have like everybody has like their base districts. Is anybody looking to write anything else?" And I raised my hand. So I was given this district along with Kosetsu as like a way of like westernizing the area a bit, because like Old Japan has a shithole, like it just is.
Yeah.
And so the way that we took it on was a lot of what I did was like I tried to defer to Kosetsu as much as possible, being like the westerner out of the pair. And like I wrote the things that I thought were just like fun as a whole, like the drone cafe, but I was also responsible for a lot of the places that got updated from 2020, like the Imperial Bank.
Okay.
And the where is the park? Because yeah, the park was something that I thought, Gazebo Park.
Oh yeah.
And then my favorite thing that I updated for this was Tartarus.
Oh, okay.
And why is that your favorite update?
Because I saw like an underground mall, and then we were told no malls, and I was like, well, an underground area like this is just awesome. Like somebody has to have taken use of it. So turning it into like this descent into hell-esque situation for the Iron Sights, like just as a visual, it just seemed way too cool to have like your car slowly heading down into the mall with all of this like iconography on the walls. Like you're very literally going into hell.
Yeah.
And that's where the Iron Sights live. And that to me like is just the coolest visual of like anything that I did.
Incredible.
And I can totally picture that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'll never see it any other way now, so thank you for sharing that. Games, did you have any other questions for Jolly?
I didn't, unfortunately.
I think then the last thing I'm going to ask is, do you have any advice to GMs or players who want to write into either of those neighborhoods, set a location maybe from their backstory and their life path to add to the world, set plots, anything that you would like, consider these elements in these districts, or I don't know, any advice from your wealth of knowledge and experience?
So for the Rec Zone, honestly, if you can imagine it in a small town, and I think the best way to put it is like, if you have any small town stories that like are of dubious quality, that's the place in the Rec Zone. Like, if you heard this is the place where your buddy Eddie got drunk, threw a rock through a window, and then heard like a strange noise on the other side, no, that's there. Like 100%. Like I want to say like it's on a lower scale of like Florida Man sort of stuff. Because like it's just like a fun place where like small things happen. If you're gonna have like any Hallmark style movie stuff, it happens in the Rec Zone.
Now
like,
I want to do a one shot.
have your big exec have to come back to the rec zone to talk with their parents about inheriting the family business. That's what the rec zone's for.
I love this.
You know, it was funny that you mentioned
Like that.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's just this. It's a zone for softer stories and for softer people.
I did grow up in a small town, and when you're like, think of like dubious or weird shit that's happened, and that's here. And not too long ago, like, I don't live there anymore, but my mom still does, and she was telling me, some old man lived in his house, and he didn't want this fence put up by his neighbors. And when they put the fence up, because it blocked the view of the tree on the corner, he locked himself in his house and started shooting at anybody who would walk by. Or he shot at, no, that's a lie. He shot at the fence because he wanted to take the fence down. So then the cops were called, he locked himself in his house, the school was evacuated, that was like a few blocks down, because of a fence. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I could see that.
So weird,
So,
wacky
like,
stories.
if that's like, whenever you have like those small town stories, that's what should be in the rec zone. As far as what to do with Old Japantown, I would honestly say, like, this is a place for like your more traditional cyberpunk stuff. Because like I've had people, apparently a lot of them, praise Kid Camp. People love Kid Camp.
Yeah.
So like if you're looking for your intro to like getting into conspiracies, I'll say gang-related conspiracies rather than like proper conspiracies, because that's your corpo stuff. But like, I would say like low to mid-level gang stuff is happening in Old Japantown. So it's like, I almost want to say like it's a good starter district for like a gang-centric game, because like, I ran an entire game here when the players just owned a cosplay bar. 25 sessions. Small business owners solving problems. And like, it's a place that like, I think it's a good place to start a business as a whole. Like, for people who want to do those business games, which again, I ran mine. It was fun. It's a good thing to have there. And for places in there, like, I think, like, look, it's a place like Neo Galaxy Cards and Games, which is based off of my IRL card shop that I go to. Like, I think these are places that are just rife for small level adventure. Or if you're trying to find, like, the Elfline servers, which I did not know every Segatari place had that rumor. That hit me.
Yeah. I guess, you know what, I'm going to say one last question. I know I'm running out of time. Did you work on Reclamation Zone and Old Japantown at the same time, and did you find it a nice break to go between the two, or did you do one and then the other?
So I believe I got like at least some stuff done on the Rec Zone before I got allowed to get into Old Japantown. And I almost entirely stuck to one district and then went to the other. Because again, I had like my songs on loop. I was very locked in whenever I was working on one or the other. And like a lot of doing the Old Japantown was also like the back and forth between me and my co-author. Because he had a lot of fun ideas, and like I felt a lot more comfortable giving him places like the Bodokan, and what was another one of his? Kaifu Corner, yeah. So like for us, and like you'll notice that there's a lot of Melissa's places dotted in throughout ours. Like a lot of the stuff from the data pack, that was actually something we had to do. I say had to, like I didn't enjoy it. Like I enjoyed like, having commercials. But no, like there was a grab bag of Melissa's locations, And it's just like, hey guys, would you like any of these in your district? Just so like we can give them a home.
That's cool.
You know, Melissa's great. She actually played in that cosplay game.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Oh no, she had fun. Like there's certain characters that her and I have talked about that like if/when we get behind the pen again are just making it into Cyberpunk canon.
Nice.
Like one of them is an Elfline Online's bartender by the name of Thaddeus Thundercock, who her character cosplayed, and who just slowly became like a larger and larger part of that game.
That's incredible.
No, like
Any
getting to
more
play
ELO
like
content.
yeah,
That's always
anything
welcome.
like whenever I get to actually have like the writers for the games in my games, like there's just so much creativity from it, and I will probably eventually be recruiting for games again. Like if I do, you'll see that in the RTAL Discord. Like I tend to like getting at least a few new people in because as a GM, I don't like running to the same people. I like some variety. And so every game I've had has had different, not entirely new people, but like it has had at least 1 to 2 new people.
Nice.
Awesome. And getting for me new players to either play alongside or GM with, always just brings a whole new element that and background that they bring into every story. So it's always nice to have a new, I guess, interaction perspective. Thank you. That's where I was going with that.
I have joked that I'm going to be doing 1 paid game, like entering just a random person's paid game now that Night City 45 has come out, just to style on people. To like, I'm not going to tell them when I sign up for it, but like as soon as the game starts, I'll be like, oh yeah, hey, I helped write this book, so let's have fun.
The dread I would feel. Oh my god.
Yeah. Like, I just want to flex. I want to spend like 20 or 30 bucks and just be like, hey guys, no pressure, just one of the writers for the system here.
Yeah.
Let's have a good game.
And flex you should.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, I think our time is sadly up. But thank
Gotta get
you.
more.
Yeah. So that will conclude this episode of Night City Sofa. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you, Jolly, so much for being here and chatting with us. It's been such an experience and an absolute pleasure.
No problem.
Night City Sofa.
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah. Anytime. Anytime you want to come back.
Hey, if you want to do another chat that's just more about Old Japantown, because I know I'm stuck on Rec Zone for a while, feel free to hit me up.
Will do.
Awesome.
Night City Sofa will return next week. We will continue talking about Night City 2045. Moving on to North Side, where we will have Jay Gray, Cyberpunk RED line manager and writer for the NorCal military base. So if you have any questions, try to limit it to, I know we can ask Jay everything under the sun, but try to limit it to NorCal military base
NorCal.
District, or the military base, or the North Side District, please. Do your best. And you keep an eye on the YouTube channel for that post. When that goes up, you can post all your questions there. So, again, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Jolly. And until next week, yeah, for now.